Dave is finishing his bagel, and we are ready to start talking about quarterback rankings right now on FFT Express. And I am super hungry. I cannot watch someone eat a bagel. That's my favorite food, I think. So was it good? What'd you have on there? A little butter?
Oh, yeah, a little bit.
Just like a plain bagel with butter?
Yeah, it was a nice little post-breakfast, pre-lunch snack.
How crispy are we talking here? Because obviously you hadn't eaten it in at least 45 minutes during our show.
I mean, first of all, I did. You just didn't see it. And second of all, I prefer my bagels like very toasted.
Oh, ew.
Yeah.
Now I'm not hungry anymore.
Yeah, not all the way like burnt to hell on the Jim Nantz toast scale, but still very, very burnt. I don't like a plain untoasted bagel.
No, I wouldn't do it. Lightly toasted is obviously the way to go. So we're talking quarterback ranking. Quarterback. What?
It needs heat.
Yeah, lightly toasted. It's heat. Quarterback rankings reset here, Dave. So, what's the shakeup lately as we reset these rankings?
I think the first thing to take away is that there feels like a rock solid top 5 at the position, where Josh Allen, Lamar Jackson, Jayden Daniels kind of in their own tier. It's probably going to go in that order on draft day come August and September, where Josh Allen will be number 1. The consistency factor is in his favor. Everybody knows what to expect. And any additions that Buffalo makes to their receiving core will only make Josh Allen that much more appealing. Lamar Jackson, you know what you're getting from him. Little bit of downside with him because we saw it in 2023. He averaged around 24 fantasy points per game, around 23 fantasy points the year before that. But we also know what the upside is. He's coming off of the season in 2024 where he averaged 30.1 fantasy points per game. And then Jayden Daniels, we saw him with 23.9 over the course of the season, 24.4 fantasy points per game in his first 6. Then he hurt his rib. Then he came back. Final 6 games, 30.4. I think you're hoping for that. And we've already seen one upgrade that the Commanders have given him in his receiving core with Deebo Samuel. Who knows if there will be another one on top of that. And we know that Jayden Daniels will be a factor in the run game as well.
Boy, Josh Allen's actually more interesting than I thought because, yes, he just finishes as a top 2 quarterback every year, basically. But his numbers his passing numbers have not been as good. Like so the problem is, Dave, he played 1 snap in week 18. So it looks like he played a 17-game season. But let's just say he probably throws for like 250 yards, gets to about 4,000 yards, maybe about 30 touchdowns. He's not throwing for 4,435 touchdowns now. He's made up for it with a whole bunch of rushing touchdowns, 27 rushing touchdowns in his last 2 seasons. He had never had more than 9 in a single season before, 15 in 2023 and 12 in 2024. So I don't really doubt it. It's not like Lamar Jackson hasn't had down seasons, right? But I do think people just be aware that the raw stats, the rushing yards are not what they used to be. The passing yards are not what they used to be. The passing touchdowns are not what they used to be. And if he doesn't, who are they going to add at this point? Who are they going to add at wide receiver that's going to really get him back to that level? So I don't know.
I mean, it could be a rookie. They could make a trade. There's a bunch of different options there. And even if they don't add anybody of major significance, we're coming off of a year where Buffalo got rid of their number 1 receiver with Stephon Diggs. And lo and behold, Josh Allen has one of his best seasons for fantasy purposes. Do you think 23 fantasy points from a quarterback is good just in a given week?
Oh, yeah, it's very good, but it's
okay. He had 5 games this year under 23 fantasy points. 5 out of, he didn't play in week 18, so we'll call it 16 games. That's really good. I don't see how fantasy managers are going to pass up Allen. You might pass up him in round 1 or round 2, and I wouldn't blame you for that. But I think once you get to the point in a draft where you feel like, okay, I could see myself taking a quarterback here, the first name on your list should be Josh Allen.
All right, we're going to talk about the rest of the rankings, the top 12, or even beyond that after this break on FFT Express. All right, so you've got who do you got so far? We got Allen,
Jackson, Daniels. That's the top 3. We'll call that the first tier, and then there's like a mini second tier, which is just making up the rest of the top 5 with Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. Everyone will be excited to draft Burrow again. He's the one that's got potential to throw for 5,000 yards and 40-plus touchdowns. We know T. Higgins is going to be in Cincinnati for a long time. Same thing with Jamar Chase. That's good news. any other additions that they make will be nice. I really want to see Cincinnati bulk up the offensive line a little bit more. And the Bengals defense still has a lot of holes to fill. So we could get a replay on the 2024 season where Cincinnati's in a bunch of high-scoring games. Burrow has to play Superman, racks up a ton of fantasy points. I would love to see it. He finished last season very strong. And Jalen Hurts, we saw him play well in his first 9 games. He was averaging almost 26 fantasy points per game. And then after that, he slowed down a little bit. Then he got concussed to end the season. We all saw how he played in the Super Bowl. We know what he's capable of doing. There's just probably going to be a little bit more inconsistency with him compared to the first 4 quarterbacks. So that's why he's 5th for me. After these first 5, Adam, there's questions. And it's going to be fun hashing it out over the next however many months it's going to be, 4 months, 5 months, of who that 6th quarterback should be. There's a clear tier drop off.
It's got to be Mahomes, Dave. Like, I can't. It has to be Mahomes.
He was great in his last 3 games. That was when Xavier Worthy was turned up, 25.8 fantasy points per game. There were some tough matchups in there. But on the season, 20.9. And we know last year he averaged 20.9. Yeah.
2 years.
And so now there's a little bit of – there's going to be a risk with every quarterback after these first 5. It's going to be the consensus first 5. Every quarterback after that, whether we're talking about Mahomes, Mayfield, Goff, Justin Fields, we can go that far down the list if you want to. There's going to be huge question marks. You might feel safest, at least I do, with Mahomes because we know what the upside is. And you might want to say, all right, the floor is going to be around 21 fantasy points. The upside, though, could be right up there with Burrow, Hurts, Jayden Daniels, maybe not quite as high of the same type of upside if we're just talking ceiling with Jayden Daniels, but still a very good fantasy quarterback. And really, to me, the battle is between Mahomes and Mayfield. And if you think Mayfield's the right answer, you can get him at least a round after Mahomes.
Oh, man, I have like 4 reasons why I'm avoiding Baker Mayfield this year at cost, which what I perceive will be his cost.
What do you think his cost is going to be?
QB 7.
Sure. But QB 7 in round 5 is a lot different than QB 7 in round 7.
I think he'll be around 6 pick. So
yeah, I'd be a little squeamish about that too.
I look forward to talking about this on a different episode. I don't see myself drafting in this tier too much. Mahomes, Mayfield, Goff. At this point, you probably don't have an elite. Now, I can't say that Mahomes can't be an elite quarterback, right? So obviously he's Mahomes, but you may not have an elite quarterback in Mayfield or Goff, or even a chance for an elite quarterback, because I just cannot see Mayfield doing that again. And as good as Goff was, he was something like QB 7 per game. I think that's going to be the best season that he has. So yeah, I'm probably skipping this, but what's after that? I mean, now I feel like we've just got, I don't know, maybe 10 guys who are in the same tier or something.
Okay. So we're going to call it a tier. We'll call tier 3 Mahomes, Mayfield, and Goff.
Yeah, that's what I would say.
All right. Just for the purpose of this conversation on FFT Express, we're going to call it that. So stop me when the tier ends. Okay. Caleb Williams, Justin Herbert, Bo Nix, Brock Purdy, Kyler Murray, Justin Fields, Tua Tagovailoa, Dak Prescott, Drake May, Jordan Love. You haven't said stop yet.
No.
JJ McCarthy.
Nah, I wouldn't do that. I personally wouldn't go there. Did you say Purdy?
Yeah, Purdy's in there.
Okay.
And listen, if you're listening along and you go, what? Why would Justin Herbert be in there? Or why would Justin Fields be in there? It's okay. Just take that name out. At least you know now that that's a name that you're not really considering in that 4th group. But it's going to be a task for all of us to kind of weed through that group of QB 9 through. I just named 17 quarterbacks, or 9 through 17, I should say, on the list. So 8, 9 quarterbacks we're talking about. Some of those guys are going to be your starter in week 1 in fantasy this coming season.
Yeah. I shouldn't have dismissed JJ McCarthy, because if Sam Darnold can do what he did, I don't know why McCarthy can't. I think O'Connell has a lot to do with that, just a great offense and great weapons.
Right.
Yeah. So quarterback's deep. We don't have time to go through everything, but quarterback is deep, and that's maybe a way to look at it. I'd like a top 5 quarterback, or I'm just waiting. So
It's almost like what we've been doing with tight ends. What's that called again?
Great or late.
Yeah, there it is. So there's nothing wrong with applying that same strategy to the quarterbacks, but I wouldn't reach for a quarterback like I would one of the great tight ends.
Yeah.
Like I don't. If it's a 1 QB league, I'm pretty sure I'm going to take Bowers and McBride, maybe even in half PPR, maybe over any of the quarterbacks.
All right, Dave Richard, thank you very much. That's FFT Express, and we will talk to you. See ya.
What?
I whispered to